Ever stumble upon a place in history that just uh, hums with a different kind of energy, where the usual rules seem to bend?
Mm.
For me, 1950s Tangier is absolutely one of those.
Oh, definitely.
It wasn't just a geographical spot on a map. It was this potent interzone, a real city, yes, but also this, like, symbolic space.
Yeah, where cultures, ideas, even ways of seeing the world collided, often in really unexpected ways.
And what's truly captivating is the unique historical setup that allowed this to happen, right?
Absolutely. Tangier's status as an international zone, that's key.
Yeah.
It meant it operated outside the direct control of any single nation.
Which must have felt incredibly liberating for some people.
Totally. It attracted this remarkable array of individuals, artists, writers, thinkers, people actively seeking something different, a departure from convention.
A place where they could explore new frontiers, you mean? Both personal and creative.
Exactly that. And you see that so clearly with the Beat Generation figures who ended up there.
Right. That's who often comes to mind. We're talking Paul Bowles, who basically made Tangier his home.
William S. Burroughs doing his radical literary experiments there.
Jack Kerouac, Allen Ginsberg. I mean, these were artists fundamentally questioning society.
And Tangier gave them this unparalleled environment for that kind of rebellion, that questioning.
If you step back, it makes sense, doesn't it? A city on the margins.
Existing sort of outside the usual power structures.
It naturally becomes a magnet for people pushing boundaries, artistically, personally.
A crucible for new ideas. That's a great way to put it.
You know, we have a really fascinating way to dig into this period today.
Yeah.
The Tangier Interzone film program. It's curated by Abdelaziz Taleb.
And what's so important about this program, what makes it stand out, is that it's not just another look at the beats in Tangier through that familiar Western lens.
Okay, so what is it doing differently?
Well, it's really the first time, comprehensively anyway, that their experience is presented alongside a Moroccan perspective. It offers a much richer, more complete picture.
Ah, I see. So it immediately makes you ask, well, how does seeing these two viewpoints together change how we understand it all?
Precisely. It forces us, to move beyond just one narrative, to consider the interplay, the back and forth.
And that's exactly our mission with this deep dive. We want to uncover the key insights this film program gives us. About Tangier is this incredible cultural crossroads, that dynamic between Western and Moroccan influences, and, well, the lasting legacy of this interzone.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's really unpack this interzone idea first. It wasn't just that Tangier was, like, geographically between different countries, was it?
No, precisely. The power of the concept is much deeper. It's layered. I mean, yes, on a literal level, it was a port city, a major point of transit and exchange. That's true.
Right.
But metaphorically, it represented this liminal space, a threshold.
A threshold.
Yeah, where established social, political norms were kind of suspended, temporarily anyway.
And that fostered freedom.
An extraordinary sense of freedom, yes. And it became incredibly fertile ground for radical experimentation in art, literature, even just how people chose to live.
So conventional ideas about identity, power, perception, they were all up for grabs.
They were actively being challenged, yes.
And the Tangier Interzone film program throws us right into the middle of this, doesn't it? It's not just one type of film giving one viewpoint.
Exactly. That's what makes it significant, its pioneering approach. It's the first truly comprehensive exploration that gives, equal weight to the Moroccan experience.
Okay.
And the deliberate mix of film styles, documentary, experimental, narrative that highlights the different ways you can interpret this complex history.
So let's talk about some specific films. What are some key ones in the program that really illuminate this interzone from different angles?
Well, Jean Genet's Notre Père de Fleurs is a compelling place to start.
Genet.
Genet himself was such an outsider figure, right? And the film really reflects his connection to Tangier's own outsider status, its marginalized communities, its break from convention.
You feel an affinity there between him and the city.
Oh, definitely. A real resonance.
That makes sense. A kindred spirit. What about Creating a Legend? That one focuses on Paul Bowles.
Creating a Legend is fascinating because it really digs into the intricate web of relationships Bowles had with Moroccan artists.
Ah, not just him in isolation then.
Not at all. What becomes clear is that his creative work wasn't solitary. It was deeply shaped by his interactions, his collaborations within the local scene.
Right, it challenges that image of the Western artist just observing.
Exactly. It starts to shift the narrative.
Okay, interesting. And Tingis, the title sounds like it's about the city itself.
Tinges by Micropunta, yeah, it takes a much broader historical view. It skillfully weaves together archival footage with contemporary shots
Hmm.
to unravel these multiple layers of Tangier's past. It shows how its unique history as a crossroads contributed to its interzone identity over time.
And then there's In Limbo, which is actually your film, Abdelaziz. What perspective does that add?
Well, In Limbo focuses on Tangier as a place of transit, a transient space.
Okay.
You know, where people arrive, they depart, they leave fragments of stories behind. It emphasizes that fleeting nature of connections and the impressions they leave, however intangible.
Especially in a city like Tangier, constantly in flux.
Exactly.
And finally, Pero Corazon. That sounds like it captures something more raw.
Precisely. Abu Ali's film offers a really visceral experience. It immerses you in the often chaotic, gritty realities of Tangier's underbelly.
A contrast to more romanticized views, maybe?
A stark contrast, yes. It gives you a real sense of the city's intense, untamed spirit.
Wow, it sounds like the program really paints this rich, multifaceted picture.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier the often overlooked contributions of Moroccan artists. How does the program bring that to the forefront?
This is absolutely key. I mean, while the Western figures often dominate the popular story,
They do.
the film program consciously shines a spotlight on the vital, often groundbreaking work of Moroccan writers and artists during this period.
Because Tangier wasn't just a backdrop.
Not at all. It was itself a vibrant, living source of artistic inspiration, the everyday life, the streets, the cafes, the social interactions, all of that profoundly fueled Moroccan artistic expression.
And there were some incredibly significant Moroccan artists active then, weren't there?
Absolutely. Mohammed Choukri is pivotal. His autobiographical novel, For Bread Alone,
An incredible book.
incredibly raw, unflinching depiction of life in Tangier's marginalized communities, and his collaboration with Paul Bowles, who translated it.
Right. Bowles translated it into English.
That itself raises really important, complex questions about cultural exchange, representation, whose voice gets amplified.
Power dynamics. Who tells the story? In what language?
Yeah.
Then there's Mohammed Hamri.
Hamri's art beautifully illustrates the kind of creative fusion Tangier nurtured. His paintings deliberately brought together Moroccan and Western traditions.
Forging something new.
A unique, compelling visual language that spoke to both worlds. Really interesting stuff.
And Mohammed Marabed, his style sounds quite distinct.
Yes, Marabit's intricate drawings, sometimes compared to artists like Masson or Miro. He's rightly recognized now as a major post-colonial Moroccan painter.
And Europeans collected his work.
Yeah, he garnered significant attention from European collectors, putting him alongside other key figures like Jalali Garbawi, another major Moroccan artist of that era.
Okay. What about Ahmed Yacoubi? His artistic journey sounds interesting regarding cross-cultural influence.
Yacoubi's development is quite remarkable. He got early encouragement from Paul and Jane Bowles, and later from Francis Bacon, no less.
Wow, Bacon too?
Yeah, and he developed this very unique, recognizable oil glazing technique. It gave his canvases incredible depth, luminosity. His story really highlights those fascinating cross-cultural mentorships happening in Tangier.
And Driss Ben Hamed Charhadi, also known as Larbi Layachi, his storytelling was famously captured by Bowles too, right?
Exactly. A Life Full of Holes, transcribed and translated by Bowles.
But it's important to remember.
It is. That Charhadi continued writing later in life. He had his own distinct, evolving voice beyond that initial collaboration. Works like The Jealous Lover came later.
It's becoming so clear there was this vibrant Moroccan artistic scene, often just, well, overshadowed in the main narrative.
Completely overshadowed.
And this leads us right into that concept of Orientalist perceptions. How did Western artists often view Tangier through that kind of lens?
Yeah, this is where Edward Said's ideas on Orientalism are so crucial for understanding this period.
Right.
Many Western artists arrived in Tangier carrying, preconceived notions. They viewed it through a romanticized, often exoticized lens shaped by Western art and literature.
Projecting their own ideas onto it.
Exactly, projecting their own desires, fantasies, stereotypes onto the city and its people, often seeing it as this place for liberation, escape from the perceived constraints back home.
So for some of them, Tangier became this almost mythical, imagined space as much as a real place.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this created what the film program calls a feedback loop of representation.
A feedback loop. How so?
Well, these Western perceptions, often rooted in simplistic stereotypes, sometimes inadvertently influenced how locals were seen by outsiders, and in some cases, maybe even how they saw themselves.
Hmm.
The dominant Western gaze often just overlooked the agency, the individuality, the complexity of Moroccan people, casting them as passive figures in their own story.
That's such a crucial point, that lack of genuine mutual recognition.
Exactly. The film program argues powerfully that to really grasp the cultural exchange in Tangier, we absolutely must move beyond these one-sided portrayals.
And fully acknowledge.
For richness, the dynamism, the individuality of Moroccan culture, it's about seeing the interaction as reciprocal, not just Western artists acting upon some exotic backdrop.
And that really gets to the heart of why you felt curating this program was so important, Abdelaziz, doesn't it? What were your main motivations?
My central aim was to offer a more nuanced, a more complete understanding of 1950s Tangier. Simple as that, but also complex. It was about directly challenging that prevailing Western-centric narrative, the one that has so often marginalized or just entirely overlooked Moroccan voices and perspectives.
So amplifying those voices.
Actively amplifying them, yes. Encouraging a critical reevaluation of the stories we've inherited, and ultimately fostering a much deeper, more authentic understanding of what genuine cultural exchange can and maybe should look like.
Using your background as an artist and curator to intervene in a way?
Yes. Drawing on my background as a mixed media artist, producer, curator, I see this program as a tangible way to intervene in how this pivotal period is perceived and interpreted.
It really sounds like this film program offers a vital, long overdue perspective on an incredibly fascinating time and place.
We hope so.
So to kind of bring it all together, what are the key insights that you think we should really take away from this deep dive into the Tangier Interzone film program?
Okay, I think the key takeaways are really threefold. First, understanding Tangier as this truly unique historical interzone, both a physical crossroads and this metaphorical space where boundaries blurred and new possibilities popped up.
Got it.
Second, recognizing the significant, often unacknowledged contributions of Moroccan artists and intellectuals. They were absolutely integral to the city's creative energy, right alongside the more famous beat figures.
And third?
And third, to critically examine the complexities of cultural exchange and representation, especially the lasting impact of those Orientalist views and the urgent need for, well, genuine mutual recognition and understanding.
And ultimately, the program really challenges us, doesn't it? As viewers, as listeners,
Yeah.
to question our own assumptions when we look at these kinds of interactions, historical or even contemporary.
Yeah, absolutely.
To actively think about whose stories are being centered and whose might be missing or pushed to the side.
It's about cultivating a more critical eye, I suppose,
Yeah.
and just being willing to seek out and truly listen to multiple perspectives.
Okay, so here's a final thought then for you listening. Think about how these intricate dynamics, cultural exchange, the potential for overlooked perspectives, how they continue to shape our understanding of interconnected spaces and artistic movements today. What other interzones, literal places or maybe more abstract spaces where different worlds intersect? What other interzones might hold similarly complex, under-examined stories just waiting for us to discover them?